Councilwoman Syke,
Present.
Councilman Lloyd,
Present.
and I know he's on here. Councilman Lloyd,
Present.
right? Councilman Lally,
Present.
Treasurer Armstrong,
Present.
and Mayor McLeod.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay. I think the first order of business call for, yes, they have a motion to correct and approve the agenda for this evening.
Matt Valerius, motion.
I second the motion.
Matt Valerius motion, Tony Lally second. Are there any questions, changes, removal? Okay, I guess we have to take a roll call vote.
Okay, Councilman Blevins,
Yes.
Councilman Lally,
Yes.
Councilman Lloyd,
Yes.
Mayor McLeod,
Yes.
Councilman Schlack,
Yes.
Councilwoman Syke,
Yes.
and Councilman Valerius.
Yes.
The yeses have it. The motion passed. Next item.
A motion to approve the minutes from the March 17th meeting.
Motion, Gary.
Gary, motion.
Matt Valerius, second.
I'm sorry, Matt, second.
Correct.
Any corrections, discussion? Hearing none, please call the vote.
All right, motion by Slack, supported by Valerius. Councilman Lally,
Yes.
Councilman Lloyd,
Yes.
Mayor McLeod,
Yes.
Councilman Schlack,
Yes.
Councilwoman Syke,
Yes.
Councilman Valerius,
Yes.
and Councilman Blevins.
Yes.
The yeses have it. Motion passed. Next item.
The next item is a resolution establishing rules and regulations for remote attendance by Allen Park City Council members and other city commissions and committees and members of the public at meetings due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I am assuming that since this is a resolution, I have to call for approval. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Who, I'm sorry, name,
Motion.
Tony?
Yes.
Okay. Have a second?
Second, Gary.
Gary, second. Now, Mike, do I have to read the entire document or was that sufficient?
Oh, absolutely not. No, that would be sufficient.
Okay, and then we need to take a roll call vote.
Can I jump in if I may, through the chair?
Yes.
This resolution here, I worked with Joe Cuvier on. I think we borrowed it from another community. Talking to Joe earlier today, this executive order actually expires the 15th of April at 11:59. I have a good feeling that either tonight or tomorrow night, the governor, as she was busy last night issuing a lot of executive order extensions, will be issuing another one on this here. So I don't want to stop and not schedule any future meetings or anything like that at this point in time. I think we pass this here and then it'll get extended if she extends that order, which I honestly believe will happen. Joe, any other insight?
Nope, you covered the waterfront on that.
Okay, so Mike, you take the vote on that, please?
All right, I have a motion by Pro Tem Lally, supported by Councilman Schlack. Roll call, we'll go with Lloyd,
Yes.
Mayor McLeod,
Yes.
Schlack.
Yes.
Sorry, guys, I'm getting too informal here. Councilwoman Syke,
Yes.
Councilman Valerius,
Yes.
Councilman Blevins,
Yes.
and Pro Tem Lally.
Yes.
The yeses have it. Motion adopted. Next item, Mayor.
The next item is the organizational business city administrator's operations report. Mark?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and residents on watching. It looks like we've got about 31 people in the room right now.
Great.
for the meeting. This afternoon, the proposed fiscal year 2020-2021 budget was emailed to everyone, to the mayor and council. If you request a hard copy, that'll be dropped off at your house tomorrow. We'll get those printed up and get those dropped off. And I think there was 2 or 3 that wanted a hard copy. The proposed budget will also be available on the city's website, and we'll have that up tomorrow, sometime tomorrow as well. About 2 weeks ago, Mayor McLeod signed some documents with the Wayne County Emergency Management, temporarily designating Chief LaFond as the City of Allen Park's Emergency Manager Liaison. Chief LaFond replaces me in that role, as he's been handling the majority of the city's aspects and functions for dealing with the COVID-19 situation. Once things settle down, we'll make that switch back. The reason for this move here was they're looking for a daily request for supplies, and the chief knows that better than anybody. There's no sense in going through multiple parties to get that information sent over to them. So he took that upon to do that for us, and him and Ed Can have basically become. God bless Bob here. Chief LaFond and Deputy Chief Can have basically become our in-house experts on this situation. I don't think either one of them want that role, and they'll be happy to end that acknowledgement of that here. But we do appreciate their help on that. We've already hosted the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals through the Zoom video conferencing. This is our first council meeting, and we only had one issue last week, and we dealt with it rather swiftly. I think I was not able. I had to share the screen with the chairperson, and or we would have got that situation taken care of a little bit quicker. But nothing bad. We just had a Chick-fil-A logo flash upon the screen. A lot better than it could have been. As everybody now knows, the yard waste and compost pickup has been delayed. The start of that has been delayed until April 27th, and then it'll run until December 31st. Now, a little bit longer to make up for that short time, unfortunately. Hopefully, we're still cutting grass in late November, early December. I noticed I did myself because I had half a bucket of leaves in my can there. Bulk waste pickup has also been suspended until the 27th of April. Just as the city, is seeing workers that may be taking time off because of the virus, Advanced Disposal was also running that same problem, and they were losing some of their manpower. And I did notice GFL recently and Waste Management also notified their customers that they were delaying yard waste pickup. So we were one of the first, but not necessarily everybody around us is now in that same issue there. Grass cutting has become a main topic. I know a lot of times that on the Facebook page, if you read through there, I stopped looking at the comments. I think there was 128 comments and 175 shares or something. But we did issue a statement related to Governor Whitmer's executive order in grass cutting. I know some people like the order, and some people don't, and we're not here to debate that. We were just trying to make sure that we don't have a problem later on with rodents and insects. I have a feeling, if we don't cut right now, we'll be, they'll be telling us that we got to worry about West Nile virus coming up here shortly. So we need to be prepared for that. So we issued this order out, and we'll let people at least cut their grass in their own houses, and I think for contractors as well. And I know Mayor McLeod's been on top of this issue with through Congresswoman Dingell's phone calls. I know this is a big topic as well with them and their calls. The installation of the new water meters, that was set to begin at the beginning of this month, at the beginning of April. Obviously, we mentioned last time we postponed that until the 5th of May, and we'll continue to evaluate that date as we go forth with any executive orders that may continue or not, and also working with the installation contractor to make sure we can get the timelines to get everything set and still installed in a timely fashion once that does once we are able to get in to do that. Some sad news though, the Commissioner Appreciation Dinner, we decided to postpone that until 2021. We had moved it back to June 11th, and we just didn't feel comfortable. June was going to be a good time. We were looking in the fall. The fall is rather busy with a lot of people, and we're still not certain people are going to want to gather and sit close to each other in an event like that. So we decided to just push it off until 2021. So I'm in the process of returning those contributions that we did receive back to the vendors that we were working with on that. Some really good news here. One of our newest police officer, Kevin Swoop, he started yesterday. You probably saw his picture on the Allen Park PD Facebook page. And Kevin is 20 years old. So once again, we have an officer that can pull you over and give you a ticket for drunk driving, but he's not old enough to drink himself. We also had our newest DPS public service worker, Zachary Kendall. He started today, and we'll get him in the rotation. We got 2 more guys coming on board, and these are to replace some people that had left and retired. And the same with Kevin Swoop. He was replacing somebody that had retired. So no new hires at this point. They're just replacements. And then also, we'd just like to acknowledge the milestone in service for Kevin Locklear and Paul Schreier. Both will reach 20 years of service with the city of Allen Park next April, on April 20th. Both of them are on April 20th. So congratulations to them for 20 years of service with the city. There was a couple questions from the council, and what I'm going to do is, if it's okay with the mayor and council, I will go through each of the department heads that are here and just let them kind of give an update of what's going on. I'm going to start with Doug because he's got the most of what's the information, and we'll do Doug and Ed and then maybe Jim Wilkowitz, Chief Wilkowitz, and then we'll work our way around, and you can get an update from them and with what's going on in their departments for the virus and COVID-19.
That sounds good.
Everybody. I just did some quick bullet points, so I'm just going to kind of run through them for you guys and kind of bring you up to date. As of yesterday, 4/13/20, we have 128 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in our city, which also includes 14 confirmed COVID-19 deaths, unfortunately. My department has transported 79 suspected cases to local hospitals, 30 of which have been confirmed to be COVID-19 positive. We've also advised dozens of patients to stay at home and contact their physicians if they had mild symptoms. For biggest reason is the hospitals are inundated, don't really want people with mild symptoms. And if for some reason you don't have COVID-19, you don't want to be at the hospital because you will end up with it. Ed and I kind of anticipated back in the end of February that this event was going to be significant. And we decided at that time it was prudent to increase our stockpile of personal protective equipment. We stocked in a lot of Tyvek suits. We got N95 respirators for our employees, gloves, disinfecting supplies. And at this time, we also placed our reserve ambulance in service to have a third transporting rig. We're anticipating long decon times for our other 2 ambulances and increased run volume, and it has worked out pretty good for us. There's been times we've had a truck come back, it still isn't decon, and we've had to use that third truck to take calls. Because we purchased all this PPE early on in the crisis, we were able to actually get PPE, which was great, and that's enabled us to kind of pass on a lot of our DHS supplies to other city departments. I know we dropped off 1,500 surgical masks over at City Hall, a lot of N95s to the police department. We gave them some decon supplies. So we're glad we're able to do that because we were able to actually stock a lot of things in. We also issued a lot of directives early on before they even came out from the CDC. We required disinfecting of our ambulances after every call back in early March. We also instituted a complete disinfection of the fire station multiple times per day, including wiping down all the door handles, keyboards, telephones, other surfaces. We also started requiring our employees to submit to daily temperature checks before it was recommended by the CDC, about a week before we did. And we also went 2 times per shift before they recommended it. We really believe that getting out in front of this has helped us remain a COVID-free workplace up until this point. Knock on wood, none of our firefighters have tested positive, which we can't say for a lot of the surrounding departments. So we're nervous of doing some of this stuff at the time because we didn't want to be the little boy that cried wolf, but it's actually worked out in our favor. We've been told that the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, will be reimbursing us for 75% of all of our COVID-19 related costs. I'm currently collecting that data from all the city departments, and we'll be submitting a grant application on April 30th. It isn't just send them a list, sending them money. You have to write a grant. That's okay. We'll get that done. I just want to talk about today a little bit. We had an especially rough day. Starting out at noon, we had a car drive into a building up on Southfield, and shortly after clearing that call, we were called to a COVID positive CPR at a residence. That we had 2 police officers doing CPR on the patient when we got there. Unfortunately, we were not able to revive that patient. While we were on that call, we were called to another call on Southfield Road at a doctor's office parking lot. A patient in a car not breathing. By the time our units got there, that patient was also in full arrest. We also worked that patient. Unfortunately, he was also pronounced dead on the scene. And while all that was happening, we had a third COVID call, what we call them now, for a woman severe difficulty breathing, high fever, dry cough. Unfortunately, we will not be able to respond to it because we were tied up on these other runs. So we did have to call Dearborn Fire to handle that run for us. It's like a completely horrible day, and that all took place in a matter of 2.5 hours. And it is horrible, but unfortunately, it's kind of a daily occurrence anymore. It's rough to deal with. Put some words together here. I'm gonna let you guys know about how I've been feeling about this. I just want to kind of close out with a word about your firefighter paramedics, and they are yours. I have always known that they're a group of highly motivated professional individuals. They've really been a shining light throughout this crisis. They walk into work every day with a great attitude, always ready to help out whenever they can, whether it's inventorying PPE for the 10th time this week or learning new COVID protocols, which change daily. Every man in the department has canceled leave time to help ensure that we have enough personnel to staff that 3rd ambulance. And they do so not wanting or looking for recognition, but they do these things while dealing with critically sick and dying individuals on a daily basis, all the while worried about taking this horrible disease home to their families. It is my opinion that the city of Allen Park is the finest group of firefighter paramedics in the state, and I'm proud to be their chief. I'm to close
God
that.
bless.
Chief, I want to jump in real quick. I'm going to let Ed speak as well. I wanted to mention the amount of working together. The department heads work together very well in normal times. This situation here, the department heads have been wonderful to work with. Chief LaFont has been able to help with every department, sharing the various needs, equipment, and supplies, and to make sure everybody has been as safe as possible. And I got to take my head off to Chief LaFont. Top-notch job. I can't say enough words at this point in time. I thought he's done a spectacular job, and well-deserved, any appreciation. And I can't give you enough, Chief. I'm going to let Ed go if he has anything, and then work my way around the rest of the department heads.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Chief. Really just echo the words that Chief LaFont said. Very, very proud of our firefighter paramedics and our police department. We are all working hard through this. The situation is real. You know, there's days I go home thinking, well, maybe this is overblown, but we're right in the thick of it. We're in the heart of it. We're going to get through it. We're all in this together. And as we work through as a team, we remain calm and vigilant. Soon we'll be able to enjoy each other's company in person again. If you need anything, you know where to reach me. I have my cell phone with me 24 hours a day. So with that, I don't have anything further to add that the chief had already said.
Okay. Deputy Chief and Deputy Chief, again, thank you very much for your help.
I want to thank you very much, Chief. You're doing a heck of a job. And I pray for you guys every day.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. It's tremendous to hear.
Right, I'm going to mute Chief LaFont. I'm going to mute Chief Wilkowitz.
Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all staying healthy and away from one another and everybody else at this point, like we're supposed to. Doug already touched on some of it. This is tough sledding for the police department as well, because we also get called to these medical emergencies as they're going on. Just like today, we had 2 officers on scene doing CPR prior to fire's arrival. The good news is from the police department is that we are as they say, knock on wood. We're also still COVID-free ourselves. We had 3 officers that believed they may have been infected. They received testing, and all 3 of their tests came back negative. So all of our staff is healthy, and they're on the job. We've also, introduced protocols about checking their employee groups when they check in on their either day shift or night shift to make sure that they're not running a temperature or not exhibiting any symptoms. We're still out and about. Our policy and our policing procedures have had to change somewhat because obviously we want to reduce the number of voluntary contacts we're having with the public. So, traffic enforcement is down, picking up unpaid ticket warrants from other jurisdictions down. So we're essentially responding to emergencies and making the arrests that are required by law or in the best interest of the citizenry of Allen Park to take somebody into custody. We get the occasional complaint of people not following social distance protocol. I'm pleased to say that it would appear that 90% plus of our citizenry is taking this seriously. We don't get that many complaints. I had to develop a policy for our officers in responding to these complaints when we do get them. Obviously, our first goal is to gain compliance. We can't be everywhere at one time, so we address things, either businesses that aren't following social distancing or the occasional call that people are gathering at a house by trying to gain compliance, but we do have the ability to issue violations straight from the police vehicles now. We've entered the code that covers violation of the governor's executive order. So that's about it for us. We're still out doing what we're supposed to do to keep the community safe and responding to calls. And we've got all the gear that we need to do so. We have N95s. The Allen Park Police Officers Association actually bought P100 masks for the patrolmen that are out there right on the front lines. I just ordered some more Tyvek suits, so every officer will have Tyvek suits at their disposal if they have the opportunity to don that prior to having to enter an emergency area. We have gloves, we have hand sanitizer, we have wipes. So we've had our cars professionally decontaminated by an outside agency. In pretty good shape. And staying hopeful that we're going to keep it that way and get through it the end of this, whenever that may be. That's all I have.
Right. Thank you, Chief. Go to Tom Murray.
So we've had a interesting, so the last 3 weeks since the first stay-at-home order, we sent all our staff home with the intent of any emergency that were to arise during regular hours, they had to come in. That worked out actually fairly well because during that time we had 4 water main breaks, a tree fall on a house, and a major rainstorm, and we had 0 problems getting any staff to respond. And when the governor decided to extend the order, we decided we had to start running a skeleton staff for regular hours for the fact we have to get streets swept, cut grass, start getting things done for the water and the sewer. I can't let that go continuously without maintenance. So we have 3 individuals from each department working 1 week on, 1 week off. The other side of the department comes in. So if someone were to get infected, we don't wipe out our whole work staff. The clerical departments have been coming in, making sure the bills are paid on certain days. They're not in every day. Getting the water bills out, stuff like that, etc. We do have, thanks to Chief LaFond, surgical masks for all our staff. We have sanitizing wipes. We have sanitizing solution. We send everybody out in separate trucks. That way they are not in contact with each other for most positional jobs. Everything seems to be running the best we can the way it is. Things will get done in the city, but possibly not some of the smaller items that people are hoping for. That's pretty much how we're dealing with it in the public service and the water.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Who else we got? Let's go to Sandy Blakeney. Sorry, Sandy.
Hi, Mark. Everybody, hello, everybody. We also went home as soon as the first order came through, with the staff knowing that they were on call if we needed them to come in. We have one person coming in every day to empty the drop box, and that person disinfects all the materials that are in. Items that can't be disinfected, such as CDs and DVDs, whatever, are put in a quarantine box, thinking that in 3 weeks, whatever virus was on them is going to be gone. Our biggest issue is reaching people through social media, because the library is a place. People come to the library for programs, they come for materials and all of that. And so what we're trying to do is replicate that as best we can online. And it's every public library in the country. We're all doing the same thing, trying to reach our patrons. Our other concern is the future programming. I'm thinking Garden Club isn't happening this year, which will be the first time in 18 years. And summer reading is going to look very differently, because even if everything is relaxed and people can get back together, do we want 70 children in one small room? I don't know what's going to happen with our patio programs. Some of the performers are providing recorded programs that we could show on our YouTube channel or show on Facebook. So everything is really up in the air right now. We're responding to patrons through social media. We're registering new cards as people want to reach some of our electronic resources, and we're all just in it together.
Thank you, Sandy. All right, I'm going to go to Hawkins.
Okay. When this first started, of course, we had the community center closed, and during the early periods, we disinfected the entire facility twice. We then went on to clean areas that had never been cleaned since it's been built, and so the entire building is been disinfected. Most areas have been sanitized to a hospital grade. Also, we went out and we sanitized the playground, every piece of playground equipment we had outside for the first 3 weeks, until recently when we were directed to close them. And so now there's just yellow tape around it, but we're not sending anybody out to sanitize it now. In the parks, before they were all the playgrounds, before they were all closed, we put signs up about the social distancing and the executive order. Our staff that does come in on a daily basis, we do the same things that everybody else does as far as the temperature and the questions and answers about any type of symptoms that they might have, and if there are any, they're sent immediately home. Do you have any questions that I might?
I had a question. Yeah,
Sure.
that's so I know from your report that we're still running the Meals on Wheels program. So I'm very appreciative of that. I guess is there any are we taking any extra precautions as far as that goes, especially if that's a vulnerable population?
The Meals on Wheels program is run by the county, and we don't have our employees or our volunteers doing the delivery. Tony, I know, has been a volunteer for that, and that was all through Wayne. I don't know if it was through Wayne County when you were doing it, but it's through Wayne County. And so we don't, we host we facilitate it with the community center. Right now, they're only distributing on Monday, and they distribute a 5-day box. Last week, it was dry goods. This Monday, they distributed frozen goods. But that's an ongoing project that's only working on Monday, and they're going through, I think, April 30th was, I don't have a calendar in front of me, but I think that's the day they're going through. But they extend it. They've extended it once already. So that's the way that program is working right now. But that's all through the county. That's all the county's decision.
Are we still providing transportation for seniors?
Yes, we are. We are providing transportation for seniors. Dialysis trips and doctor's trips are the main thing, but they also have to get to the grocery store themselves. So, you know, it is not as busy as it usually is, but it is a daily operation. And if there are no reservations ahead of time, like this past Friday, we closed. We didn't work that Friday because we had nobody to transport. Meals on Wheels wasn't there, and so we closed it down.
I'd like to comment on that, Meals on Wheels. I've been doing Meals on Wheels ever since 2007. And this is the first time I am not doing it. I don't know who's doing it on Monday. It's not our people doing it too much anymore right at this moment. I'm not going out there anymore. So nobody called me on nothing. So apparently somebody's doing it on Mondays. I don't know who they are. That's all I know. Just wanted to comment on the Meals on Wheels.
I'd like to ask.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question. Pat, with the closing of the fitness center, I know some people pay for it by the month, maybe some people pay for the year. So what are we doing for those people that are not now being able to use their service? For instance, I belong to Planet Fitness and they stopped taking my payment. So I was wondering what we're doing for those people that use the fitness center.
Well, we haven't done anything yet, and we aren't going to do anything yet until we get a decision that it's ready to open. And then we'll prorate everybody that the amount of time that it's closed. That's a simple solution. But we only take annual payments. We don't take monthly payments.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay. And so, you know, if we're closed for 30 days or 60 days, everybody will get a 1 month or 2 month extension onto their time is what will happen.
Okay.
But until we know how much time that is, we're not going to do anything right now.
Makes sense.
I just have one more question, Pat. And again, I really for all of our departments, I very much appreciate you guys are essential workers and you're out there every day. I'm doing work, but I'm doing it from the behind this computer screen here, so I'm very appreciative of it. Are we taking any extra precautions with those transportations to seniors? Like we're disinfecting the vehicles or using the personal protective equipment or anything along those lines?
Yes, we're doing both. The drivers have not only the N95 masks, they also have I forget what they're called, but they have a screen that Ford Motor Company made. And we got 3 of them from
Shields. Face shields.
Oh, like a
No, they
sneeze guard.
like when you're in a taxi and you have like that plastic thing up.
Those, I don't know if they got installed today, but Matt Baker and 2 of my guys were looking at it and looking at how we were going to do it, but we were separating the cab from the riders. However, it's the plexiglass is somewhat flexible, but not, it's a different kind of thing. We're doing what we can. And if it's not in by today, all the equipment was in yesterday to make it and put it in. I'm not sure that it got completed today, but it will be completed within the next day or 2. And it's what I say. Oh, we also offer the passengers a mask. We prefer they wear a mask as well.
That's good.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Richard Hawkins.
Very good. Very good.
I'm going to jump in real quick on that. Councilman Lord, you were asked about food, and I know Councilwoman Sake, you were asking a little bit about that food. I did get a call from Wayne County, and they were asking if there might be some interest in having Wayne Metro do a food distribution here in the City Hall parking lot. I told them there'd be some interest. I haven't heard any details yet. As soon as I do, I'll let you know. But that might be an opportunity to help our residents get some food. I'm going to guess maybe like a Wayne Metro or Gleaners with a food pass out. So I'll let you know if I hear any more details on that. But they were looking for location, so I did volunteer us.
Fantastic.
Anything else?
Great.
I have a couple of quick questions. I don't know. Should I
go ahead? I'm going to leave Pat unmuted.
Okay. I have two questions, and I thought of them. One for you, Pat. You said the seniors, they are still getting transportation, and that's fantastic. Has anything been sent to the city, or are you able to post anything on the Facebook page or anything like that promoting so citizens still know that service is available? I'm concerned that maybe they're not using it because they might not know it's available. And that question also to then Sandy is in that respect too. You mentioned that we want to try to make life as normal as possible and make sure they know they have electronic resources. Is there anything on the website, or can there be something on Facebook even showing how to get a registration? Like for myself, I don't have a library card. I still have yet to get one in here. But I'm definitely interested in getting one, and I'm sure there's some other citizens that don't have it who would be interested in getting that. So it's kind of, for both of you, the question is essentially is what are we doing to make sure our citizens know that our services are still there and make life as normal as possible, if that's possible.
We update the library website regularly with more information as we get it, and we have added that you can get a card via email, and we put the information that we need, and we will issue you a temporary card that will be good probably through June, and ask whoever gets one this way to come into the library once we are open, and then we can give you a permanent card because we need your signature on that. We also have our Facebook page that's being updated at least once a day. And I have information on how to put it on the city's cable channel. So we will do that as well.
Excellent.
You see, the problem is, how do you reach people who aren't already online?
Yeah.
Right.
Matt knows that problem. We're
yeah.
we're living it. Yeah.
As far as we're concerned, I want to touch base on the question you asked earlier. I just got notified. Kyle sent me a text that both of the buses that we use were separated with the plexiglass. So that's been completed today.
Awesome.
Forgot. About senior transportation. We have a pretty regular crowd of who rides on senior transportation. I can't say that we've gone out and said, please call us to ride. That's not what we're really doing. But most of the people that are regular riders with us, we've been in contact with at some point in time. But we haven't promoted that we're the free service for you to get a ride. If you're not a member of the program, we haven't gone out and promoted it. I didn't plan on doing that because we only do take one passenger at a time now.
Okay, and that makes sense. I just wanted to make sure
and
those who do use the services know about that they haven't been canceled.
We do sanitize and disinfect after every single trip. If it's trip 2, while they're waiting, they disinfect, and if it's trip back, then they disinfect after every single transport. So they use the wipes and the sprays, and we're trying to keep our drivers as well as the passengers safe too.
Most definitely.
I'd like to interject something here, if I might. The question came up regarding Meals on Wheels and the senior transportation probably about a month ago. And that was communicated on several Facebook pages because there was speculation that Meals on Wheels had been discontinued, and we confirmed that it had not. And also communicated that the services for transportation for medical appointments and dialysis were still ongoing. So in a more informal way, that has been communicated on several various Facebook pages belonging to the city.
And most of the people have pulled out of or, you know, they had standing reservations. They have pulled themselves out of the transportation unless it was, you know, direly needed. And so, but we're continuing that, and we're not going to say, you know, we're not going to say we're not, but we do transport people now one person at a time.
Rob has some information on Meals on Wheels. Go ahead, Rob.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Kathy has taken over Meals on Wheels in our building from a gal earlier when Councilman Lally was talking about Lorraine. Lorraine stepped back because of the COVID. She felt she didn't want to be at risk. So Wayne County employed a gal named Kathy. Forgive me, I don't remember her last name. Kathy and I spoke late this afternoon about some information. She wanted more clarity before I can actually speak completely to it. But she and I have a phone call set for tomorrow to discuss a possible drive-up pickup at the back door or the White Street entrance where Meals on Wheels functions out of. And from what I gather correctly today, again, I'll get more accuracy tomorrow, she will have one person designated to distribute those meals for the people picking them up on the curbside. But they have to sign up for that meal for the week. They're still only delivering on Mondays and or curbside on Mondays only at this point through the 27th. They extended that extra week, or one extra Monday, I should say.
Great. Thank you, Rob.
Yes.
Right. Thank you as well. I want to get to, I know, Dave, you had your hand up. I want to get to Jennifer Kibbe. Jennifer, are you ready?
I am. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
We got you now.
Okay. So most of the DDA projects are on hold, obviously, but we've been replaced with COVID-19 resource efforts. We've divided our work primarily between helping the businesses navigate all of the different economic recovery programs and marketing the district to drive traffic to the businesses that are open. We did conduct a survey last week, and the results are still, and it's more encouraging than I had thought. We're beating most national figures. Almost 50% of our businesses are down 75 to 100%, which is really, really bad. But about 50% of them are also saying they're not particularly worried about going out of business, which is surprisingly encouraging, I think. That's not to say that we're out of the trouble. The 24% of our businesses are at risk of going out within 1 to 3 months, 18 in 4 to 6 months, and 9% in 6 months or over if things continue the way they are. About 95% of our businesses have applied for some sort of economic stimulus package. Nobody yet has seen any funds from the Paycheck Protection Program or the SBA's EIDL program, but that's true pretty much across the country. We're really hoping that those funds start coming in soon. So most of our work last week and the week before were conducted towards getting people into those assistance programs and answering their questions and finding the right ones for them. Now we're beginning to switch towards other steps that you can be taking to continue your business, hibernate as many funds as you can, and really triage those bills that you have to pay, and preparing for a relaunch. Eventually this will end, and we all need to think about how we're going to go forward. In terms of our events, everything's on hold. We're continuing as if everything will proceed, but we're probably not going to do anything this year. Farmers Market may continue on a very different setup with 6 feet between and all of that. We have seen other farmers markets across the country still working. As long as they're selling food, they fall within the order, and they do help meet some needs. So we'll see about how that goes. In terms of driving business to the district right now, we operate a list of all the downtown restaurants and what kind of services they offer, any kind of specials. And it's under the comfort food for uncomfortable times header. And we market that pretty heavily. And then we started a takeout to win contest where we award a $25 gift certificate to a downtown restaurant every day. From randomly selected people who post pictures of the food that they bought downtown. And that is going very, very well. I'd be happy to share the survey results if anyone is interested. And we also sort of got slipped in through the under the radar, but we have a brand new website that is up and running. And the very first thing we updated was our COVID information. And that's at AllenParkDowntown.org.
Jennifer, thank you for that. And I just want to jump in. I had an opportunity this past weekend to score some of those applicants. So the ones that were going to Wayne County for funding for assistance, I was able to score. I think we had about 40 to 45 for the city of Allen Park out of the 55 I had, and they got in thousands of them. I think they ended up having like 3,000 total come in. And so I was able to do 55, and I know my sister did about 80 some. So they had a big army of people scoring those. So it was interesting to see, and hopefully that will help these people get some funding. So Jennifer, thank you for that. I'm going to run in. I want to get to Dave Boomer. I want to get to Sohio, Chris Johns, and Bob Katie. Dave, are you ready? Dave is ready. Dave is on his patio.
Yeah, although that is my patio, I am sitting in my office. I didn't think anybody wanted to sit in my office, so I thought it would change things up a little bit. As you know, the building construction has basically come to a halt. Matt Baker and myself do come to the office every day. The clerical staff is rotating on a every other day basis, along with the ordinance officers. We are getting a sprinkling of permit applications and stuff for some of the larger projects with plan reviews. We are getting the occasional call for a new roof, things of that nature. So you may see some roofers out in the immediate future. We've deemed if you need a new roof as a necessary function. So we'll see some of those. But unfortunately, you know, our revenues are tied to the permits, and that's come to a halt. So this year, we are going to have no alternative but to reach into our reserve, which we have reserves to balance the budget for this fiscal year. Next fiscal year, we'll have to see. It depends how this plays out. Hopefully, it will be shorter term as opposed to longer term, but we do have funds in reserve from the building fund that we can weather any type of storm, as long as it's not 2 years, that we can handle this financially. As we go out on a limited basis, the staff does have all the personal protection equipment they need, face masks, things of that nature, running through the sanitizer, the wipes, and everything else on the keyboards on a daily basis, on the counters. As people are opening up mail that may come in, we're taking every precaution that we can to keep everybody safe as possible. I can confirm that Pat's shields were installed today by Mr. Baker, who's been becoming jack of all trades in the last 3 weeks here, doing all kinds of things around City Hall. And I know that he did install those that plexiglass in those vehicles today as well. With that being said, it's kind of ironic. We have made the down payment. We signed on with BSNA to start the process for all the online permitting, plan reviews, inspections for both the rental, the upcoming resale. So that is just in the beginning stages. We did have to cancel one of the training sessions. They wanted to do it via Zoom, but we decided just to cancel that altogether. That our money would be much better spent if we could actually have a in-person training. So that will be coming up in the future as well. But in the meantime, we're doing all we can to keep everyone as safe as possible. And just, you know, every day is a new battle. So hopefully we'll weather this together and move forward.
All right, Dave, thank you. And council, when you do get to gather here at City Hall once again, there's a new feature on the podium that it actually spins 180 degrees, and you can stand at the podium and actually face the audience standing behind the podium. Dave and Matt took care of that for us, so they've been busy doing kind of fixing the honey-do list. They're definitely taking care of the City Hall honey-do list at this point in time. I'm going to go to let me get to Chris Johns.
Hello, everyone.
Chris.
Hello. Fortunately for me, it's a quiet time for me right now. I was able to get past the busy time with the Board of Review. I don't have much. I check my phones and my emails every day. It's very quiet right now. I go in a couple times a week, but not much going on in my department.
All right, thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
I'm going to get to, I got to find, where's Katie at? Katie. Hi, Bob.
Yeah, my staff is still coming in almost every day, somewhat on a limited basis, some of us, but you know, we still have bills to pay, payroll to make, budgets to do. So we're here pretty much all the time. I can tell you on a budget stand front, it's too early to tell where we're going to end up at June 30th, but I can tell you for sure building department, as Dave alluded to, will not make their budget. Because the way our funds roll in, it's 2 to 3 months behind. I'm not sure how much that'll affect us by June 30th. Anywhere from $600,000 to $900,000 would be a worst case scenario. If it goes beyond July 1st, all bets are off. I don't know what to tell you at this point. I'm looking at other cities and what their projections are, and they're all in the same range that I'm projecting, anywhere from 15 to 20% to get to June 30th. Obviously, if things come faster and when people go back to work, the numbers will be better than that. But as of right now, that's what I'm looking at.
Thank you, Bob. I'm going to go to Sohail Sabek. Sohail, thank you.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all again. We are abiding by the governor's orders, so we are working out of homes. We have some essential projects we're working on. Some of them are in Allen Park. We are finalizing the DPS comments from Eagle on the floodplain issue. Also, one of the critical projects is the relocation of the sanitary sewer by the Allen Road Bridge relocation. That has been ratcheted up all the way to the director of the department so we can get permits issued. They've been having some issues with the Ecorse Creek influence on our sanitary relocation. We're getting that addressed. Actually, I had a call today with the department heads to get that moving. We are awaiting permits on the infrastructure projects like the water main projects that we're doing part of the roads projects. As you're aware, Eagle is running on a very skeleton crew, so they are taking very long time issuing permits. Again, we are patiently waiting for them, and hopefully by the time this storm passes, we'll be able to start construction.
So Hal, thank you very much. I'm going to go to Maureen as well and see. I know, Maureen, you got anything?
Just that between Emily and myself, we are processing the water bill payments that are coming in. I know that the finance department is opening the Dropbox daily if Emily and I are not there. And I'm depositing those payments, you know, as they're made. Right now, that's really about the only thing that we're receiving is the water bills. And I think that Tom's department has extended the payment on those water bills to the 24th. And he has also waived any late penalties. So that might be helpful for some of our residents. And he also had suggested that we place any delinquent waters that we normally place on our summer bills, that we push that all the way back to the winter bills in December. So we'll be doing that to help out some of the residents. Other than that, that's it.
Maureen, I'm going to go back to Pat raised his hand, and you have an icon there to, if you raise your hand, we can see that pop up, and that'll definitely, we'll be using that for the audience participation portion or public comment portion, but go ahead, Pat.
Well, I wanted to mention a couple of things. The help we've gotten from the fire department and for some of the equipment that we need, from gloves to masks and things like that. They've come out and really helped us. But I also wanted to mention that Chris Egan is the one that got us the masks that Ford Motor Company made, and I want to thank him for that, because that's what our drivers needed to stay safe at the time. So I had forgotten the names. I drew a blank. That's all I wanted to mention.
I'm going to go to Chris real quick and provide maybe an update on CERT. I think that might be the question for council as well. And I know that's not your program anymore, but you know a little bit more than we do.
Yeah, right now we're trying not to utilize CERT for the most part. Most of them are retirees. Many of them have compromised immune system themselves. If we do need them for down wires or anything like that, we will. Yeah, our SRO, Basile, is handling that program. But for the most part, we're not trying to use them on any of this COVID stuff at all, obviously.
Okay. Chris, thank you very much. Mayor and Council, once again, I apologize for the length of that update from all the department heads. I think I got everybody. I don't see anybody. If I missed anybody, raise your hand for department heads. I think the only ones we have Kyle, and was the only one I didn't get to. You can definitely see as situations like this come about, this city comes together, and the department heads and the employees come together to work together as a team. Again, Chief LaFon and Deputy Chief Can, Chief Wokowitz, all working together. Pat, just mentioning their supplies coming over. We've got supplies here from the chief has been able to coordinate for us, and vice versa. I know early on there was I hate to bring up the toilet paper, but there was a toilet paper possibility of an issue in the Allen Park Bed and Breakfast. Sergeant Phelps came over, and we were able to get him into Great Lakes ACE and get that taken care of right away to avert a potential problem. Maybe not a problem for us, but a problem for them, I guess. So again, I'll hand it back over to the mayor to take back over. I apologize for the length of the update there, though.
Not at all. Actually, yeah, absolutely. I think
very
that's
beneficial.
necessary.
Before I ask for a motion to accept and file the administrator's report, I'd like to just make a couple of comments. One of which is how extremely proud we should all be of our public safety officers, and in particular, our fire chief and deputy chief, who really were ahead of the curve, came on very strong about what we needed to do, have been taking care of a lot of people. In fact, just made a delivery of some items to Maple Heights Senior Housing. And for anyone who's watching this, because it is going to be recorded, I want you to pay particular attention to what you observed as we were being provided information by our fire chief. Because if you don't think what is happening on a daily basis is not having an impact on our employees, then, and you don't see it in his face and in his voice, then you've completely missed it. And the police who are out there doing CPR, perhaps unprotected because they're trying to save someone. So when a question comes into your mind about staying at home, I want you to remember those faces that you saw tonight. And with that, I would like a motion to accept and file the administrator's report.
Make the motion.
Motion by Blevins.
Hi,
I have one more question, though. Gail, may I ask one more question? Since Mark brought up the B&B, I saw on TV the other night where Wayne County jails had a problem because residents of their inmates, whatever, people that were using the cell service did not have protective equipment. Are we giving our people that are in our jail protective equipment to use while they're there?
I'll go. Chief Wilkowitz.
Our jail population is very minimal. It's even more minimal now with the fact that we're not out proactively making traffic arrests and things of that nature. So generally, we're only having one, maybe two individuals in our facility at a time, and they're well separated from each other. We have individual cells that are, you don't see the kind of exposure to inmate that you would see in a county jail, where they have to line up for chow and all that kind of thing. So we disinfect and sanitize our facility on a daily basis. So it's the same thing, almost like with the, with the Parks and Rec cars. Once somebody goes in and comes out, then the cell is decontaminated, but there's no crossover between individuals in our facility.
Great, thank you.
And I had one more question too. This one's for Chief LaFond. Chief, so I guess my question, I'm very thankful that we haven't had any infections in the department. That's amazing, and I really commend you and your department for staying ahead of that. Do we have a contingency plan considering the close quarters that the fire department is in? If there is an infection, like how is it that we are going to plan to isolate that and make sure that we don't have a wider spread to the larger staff? Do we have a plan in place for that?
Our plan is we disinfect as much as possible on a daily basis, and we do the screening of our employees. Just because of the way our building's set up and where our employees work, there's no way to separate them. They work in teams of two. They do have separate rooms down in the dorm, for their sleeping quarters. But like I said, our biggest tool is, as much as we clean everything around it, this place just smells like hand sanitizer from one end to the other. It's the best it's ever smelled since I've worked here.
Oh, wow.
But that, and like I said, we're checking twice per shift for temperature. And obviously they're medically trained, so they know what to recognize in themselves as far as any symptoms. And, and we have had a couple guys that have woke up not feeling so good in the morning, taken a day off, and then said, oh, okay, it was just allergies, whatever. And we're being very liberal with our sick time for that reason, because it's a communal environment over here. We really have to be extra vigilant.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chief. I very much appreciate it.
Okay, are there any other questions before I ask for a second to the motion? All right, so I have a motion by Charles Blevins. Do I have a second? Second by whom, please?
Tony.
Tony. Yeah, you have to tell me because I can't always see you.
Okay.
Right, second by Tony. All in favor? Guess we have to do a roll call.
Oh, hold on. Unmute Mike.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yep, you're good.
Okay, so I have a motion by Blevins, supported by Lally, and to accept other business. We'll start at Mayor McLeod.
Yes.
Councilman Schlack.
Yes.
Councilwoman Syke.
Yes.
Councilman Valerius.
Yes.
Councilman Blevins.
Yes.
Pro Tem Lally.
Yeah.
And Councilman Lloyd.
Yes.
The yeses have it. The motion is adopted. Next item, Mayor.
Next item is public comments, restricted to 4 minutes, and we ask that anyone signing in just provide their name and the street on which they live. We do not want the address. Thank you.
If they could raise their hand. I see Brian McClellan, and I'm going to unmute Brian.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yep.
I got you.
Yep. Thank you very much, everyone. This is hard. We're gonna get through this. Look at my face. I haven't been at a barber in a month. We'll get through it. I want to thank everybody. We'll get through it. Thank you very much, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
I'm looking for hand raising. Do you see anything? I don't see anybody raising their hand. You don't see anybody either? Okay. Mary, I don't see anybody else coming up to speak.
Okay.
You want to call that just one more time, just for the sake of it?
Yes, and if they're looking, if they're not aware, it would be, they'd have to touch the top part of the screen if they're on an iPad. And then they'll get 3 dots that say more, and that's where you would find the raise the hand.
Or if you're on a browser and you push participants, you'll get a sidebar, and then you'll have the option to raise hand as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I still don't see anybody.
Okay, then.
Okay, and we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have, it's getting dark in this room. We have claims and accounts, the payroll report, and the finance actions with the March 2020 finance overview, budget to actual report, balance sheet, and cash flow. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Dan Lloyd, motion.
Second. Matt Valeria, second. Are there any questions, comments on any of the items? Hearing none, Mr. Mizzi will take the roll call.
Okay. Go ahead, Mike.
All right, I've got a motion by Councilman Lloyd, supported by Councilman Valerius, to accept the consent agenda. Councilman Schlack.
Yes.
Councilwoman Syke.
Yes.
Councilman Valerius.
Yes.
Councilman Blevins.
Yes.
Councilman Lally.
Yes.
Councilman Lloyd.
Yes.
And Mayor McLeod.
Yes.
The yeses have it. Motion adopted. Next item, Mayor.
Next item, we have some resolutions. First one is a resolution to provide for the continued basic operations of the city of Allen Park during the state of emergency. That is a memo that was provided dated April 9. We are confirming what we are doing in line with the governor's emergency orders. All right, Mark, do you want to make any comments on this?
Yeah, if I may, I would like to just highlight a couple items there, and the mayor's absolutely right. We're just kind of memorializing the actions of the city in response to the executive orders. But I want to touch on some things that actually Treasurer Armstrong mentioned earlier, and that would be that beginning March 11th, the water and sewer late fees on payments are waived. The fee to use credit card for water and sewer payments is also waived. All shutoffs associated with non-payment of water and sewer services are hereby suspended until at least May 31st, 2020. And then also delinquent water and sewer accounts will be placed on the winter tax bill as opposed to the summer tax bill. That'll be December 2020 as opposed to July 2020. We also mentioned a couple different times here about the water and sewer services. That was actually one of the executive orders from the governor about water service, making sure that water service was restored for those people that had it shut off. I believe we only had one, and I don't think it was for non-payment at all. I think it was more of a service issue, but we did take a look into that one. And then also just goes back and memorializes also the request that we received from Advanced Disposal regarding the the yard waste and compost collection and the bulk waste collection. And I think that about is about it. I'll go back over to Joe if he had anything to add into it. But I think we covered just kind of the basics. Just kind of let the mayor and council and the residents know that what we've done. Just kind of memorialize it. So if there's any questions later on, who authorized who authorized the no payments, so it doesn't come back to haunt Tom or myself or anything like that. We're all on the same page as what actions we took at this point in time as we move forward.
If I could just add onto that, all of this information about the waiving of fees and the late charges, etc., was also posted on the city website and the city's Facebook page. So we've tried to communicate as broadly as possible to as many of our residents as we can reach through that media. there any
I have,
questions?
yeah, I have a question on item 10, where it says acquiring new software. Have we acquired new software? I see you put it in the item. So I was wondering, other than the BSNA, did we acquire something unusual?
That was an item number 10.
Right? Isn't there?
Yeah,
something-
we're looking at resolution continued basic operation of the city, correct?
Yeah, that was, I wrote this last week and under distress, pressure. I think that was, when I was going with that one was the BSNA software, as we're trying to make things a little bit more user-friendly. We're actually trying to get to the year, I think probably for most of these, probably 2016, 2017. It just happens for us in Allen Park, it's 2020. So yeah, I'm going to believe that's what I intended was that was the BSNA software.
But I think that would also cover anything that we needed to be able to continue to conduct business.
And this business as well. Yeah, Mike Mizzy's just jumping in there too with the Zoom software that was purchased to make this all happen.
Very good.
Okay, if there's no further questions, can I have a motion to approve?
I'd make a motion to approve.
Tony Lally,
Yeah.
second. I'm sorry, I can't see you.
Matt Valerius.
Matt, thank you, Matt. Okay, we'll take vote. Michael.
All right, Madam Mayor, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lally, supported by Councilman Valerius, on the issue of the basic operations. Shall this pass? We'll start with Councilwoman Syke.
Yes.
Councilman Valerius.
Yes.
Councilman Blevins.
Yes.
Councilman Lally.
Yes.
Councilman Lloyd.
Yes.
Mayor McLeod.
Yes.
And Councilman Schlack.
Yes.
The motion is passed unanimously. Next item, Mayor.
Next item is a resolution to set the public hearing for the fiscal year 2020-21 general fund budget for Tuesday, April 28th, 2020 at 6 p.m., which would be the regularly scheduled council meeting. Don't have a formal document here other than the notice of public hearing document that was provided to us. I do know that the notification was published in the News Herald as required by law. And I believe it included everything that is on this document that we are viewing.
I've unmuted Bob. Bob, anything you need to add?
Yeah, the council should have gotten their copy of the budget today. Once council's gotten that, tomorrow it'll go on to the city's website for anybody that wants to review it. I know it says in our charter that it's supposed to be on display in the clerk's office and the library, or two public offices. Obviously they're closed, so it will be on the website tomorrow morning as soon as Jim Gross gets in to post it. Also, I want you to notice that on the resolution, the numbers there are the numbers we have as of today. I fully expect by the time we adopt this next month, those numbers will change a little bit. We're still waiting for some major numbers to come in from the Michigan Municipal League for property liability insurance, our workers' comp numbers, and so forth. I will give the council a list of anything that changes from the budget they have today before we adopt the budget in May, so they know of anything that changed, as I did last year.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, nobody was here other than Mayor McLeod last year.
Yeah, my apologies. All right, well, I did it.
Mike Mizzy.
Mike and Maureen, all of us were here. Unfortunately, the 6 voting people were not here.
Yeah, my word for it. I did it, honest.
Yeah. So, and then we will have so you got the emailed version this afternoon from Deb, and then we'll get the printed copy. I think there was 2 or 3 people that wanted the printed copy. We'll get those delivered tomorrow, and I believe either myself or Mike or Bob or somebody will get them over there to you. To those
Could I
that have
add
it.
my name to that list of getting a printed copy? I've had some problems with my
Printer.
well, yeah, I don't have a printer. That's the
Oh.
problem with it. So
Yeah, Deb is listening, so she'll be able to add that to the list. I'll make sure when I walk back in there, we got it on the list for you.
I appreciate if somebody send that to me too, because my printer's not working very well too.
All right. I
appreciate
think Deb is writing down the notes as
Mike knows where I live.
Thank you, Deb.
One
We'll get
additional
them- we'll get
copy
them
for
marked up for
myself
you.
as well.
We'll give our new copiers a workout and get those out.
I don't need a copy.
Okay.
You're there.
Okay.
And then we'll also need to, Mayor, if I may add, I know we've discussed it, and you mentioned it before earlier. We'll need to do a budget study session. And typically, we do that the next Tuesday. I know we usually do 6 o'clock. I know, Mayor, you mentioned 5:30. We're good with whatever time you guys all decide on, if that day will work, and we can go through it. It won't be as easy as it normally is, and if anybody does want to come into City Hall, you will have to sit multiple seats apart from each other, but we can make that arrangement as well for anybody that wants to come in here or have any questions we can answer. Let us know that as well.
Right. I did have the budget work session on my calendar from, I don't know, sometime in February, I think, for next Tuesday. For some reason, I had the 5:30 time down there, probably because that's when we normally start our work session. I would anticipate that nobody would have a problem making 5:30 next Tuesday for a work session.
I'm slammed next Tuesday.
It's that wrestling team, right?
Yeah, right.
We won't be there.
Perhaps in the interim, we can discuss, I don't want to encourage us gathering, but maybe we can give some thought to perhaps if we think it would be more effective and efficient for us to be together, perhaps meeting in council chambers where we could really be spread out. I'm just throwing that out there as a thought. This works fine. Let everybody think about it for a few days and get back to us on that.
Sure.
It would have to be open to the public, correct?
That's where what we could do on that though is we could still do a Zoom, just with the people put the laptop or the camera back and kind of show the whole. I think what the mayor's probably thinking is everybody would be in the audience area, not necessarily not at the table.
Right.
So we would just show the outside.
Yeah, just a thought I threw out there. I mean, this could be very effective too. With technology, I'm sure there's things that could be shown up on the screen if necessary, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think it would be no problem. We just have to see what's going on. I don't know.
Okay, any other questions on the public hearing? Okay, may I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion, Matt Valerius.
Matt Valerius, thank you, Matt.
Dan Lloyd, second.
Dan Lloyd, second. Roll call, Mike?
Oh, hold on 1 second. I gotta get back to him. Okay, sorry, Mike.
Oh, no problem. Believe me, it's for the best to keep me muted here. I've got a motion by Valerius, supported by Lloyd, and this is for the setting of the general fund budget for Tuesday, April 28th. Shall we have it? Councilman Valerius?
Yes.
Councilman Blevins?
Yes.
Pro Tem Lally?
Yes.
Councilman Lloyd?
Yes.
Mayor McLeod?
Yes.
Councilman Schlack?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Syke?
Yes.
The yeses have it. Motion adopted. Next item, Mayor.
Next item is a resolution number 3 to approve the SIDOC Group for architectural services for the proposed new DPS facility on Outer Drive at a cost of $297,000 for the entire project. Who would like to speak on that?
It's gonna be Dave Boomer, and I lost.
He's there.
Okay, with Bob Kitty.
Yeah, my phone died, so I'm actually in Bob's office, and we turned his phone around. So I apologize for that. Yeah, before you is the proposal to go to the next step, which is full construction drawings for the proposed DPW facility. I think previously everybody had the proposed elevations. I did forward the latest and greatest floor plan today. I don't know if anybody got a chance to look through that. It's 99% complete on the floor plan. And maybe there's a little bit of confusion on what I forwarded the actual contract. This contract would be for full architectural services. Typically, that is a percentage based of the building cost. They're working off an anticipated cost of $5.5 million. So that brings us to roughly $297,000 in total architectural fees. As you know, in December, we did okay the first portion, which was $37,500 of the overall contract. So what we're asking for now is your consideration on moving on to the next phases, which is developing full construction drawings for the building. Last Monday, I believe via Zoom, we did meet with the Municipal Complex Committee and brought them up to speed on the information we had. And I'll let them chime in if they have any comments as well. But at this point, we're asking to move forward for the construction drawings for the facility. And I'll entertain any questions that anyone may have.
May I hear from anybody on the Municipal Complex Committee? I think
Yeah,
that would be beneficial.
I thought the meeting that we had was very informative. We kind of discussed the mere fact that, there, a lot of times, at like this, you'd want to stop, but, we've already approved this loan that's for this project. So like in that meeting that we had, it was kind of like, why wait? I think you were talking, Dave, about, the timeline, in regards to getting the things completed, and all that does by waiting any more is push that farther and farther back. Of course, the hope is that things return to some sort of normalcy soon. But in the event that, that they do, we'd like to be able to move forward on on something that we as council have already previously approved. So, instead of, sitting on this and then prolonging it even further, I think it was, when we talked about it as the Municipal Complex Committee, we felt it was beneficial to keep moving forward to the next step, which is what Dave kind of was talking about, this next step with the architectural drawings and getting that rolling. So when construction is back, we could, hop right into that project. So.
Yeah, just to clarify, everybody, I'm sorry, that is roughly 90 days for them to complete the drawings. So, it'd be 3 months minimum before we would see any type of finished product that we could use when we decided to move forward for the construction of the facility. So.
I got a question. I got a comment on Mr. Matt Bellairs. We were at the meeting. It's very true, because right now we got equipment sitting outside, which I've been explained that to me, and that's terrible. So if we have to move forward, we got to move forward now, not later, and make sure that all the money that's spent at $297,000 doesn't go to the budget. In other words, you don't come back to me and say, hey, we need another $40,000. We got to make sure that everything is included in this project, and they are at this time. So as far as I'm concerned, let's go, because we got expensive equipment out there that's getting ruined almost every time, every winter, and of course summer too. So yeah, and I would agree to go ahead.
I think it was important too that we discussed that that municipal complex meeting too, about the snow dome and the rush for time in regards to, and I don't know if Tom could talk a little about that, we even waived some options about delaying that, but in the current state that it's in and when he gets salt delivered and how soon that needs to be transported to that area, was crucial, and timing is really crucial in regards to getting something temporarily, or getting that salt dome constructed to the point where that salt gets in it, because it can only be delivered at certain times. And like I said, I don't know if Tom could talk a little more on that, but like I said, everything's kind of, to not move forward at this point doesn't, it doesn't seem right, considering this is stuff that we've prior approved. And, the longer we wait on it, the more things get pushed farther and farther back,
There you go. You're right.
Matt, are we ready? Are you done, Tony?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a concern. I looked on our website, and the city of Allen Park does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, sexual orientation, and sexual economic status, age, or disability. When I look at this, the discrepancy between the women's locker room and the men's locker room, for me, is too great. It is less than half that of the men's. I don't think it's being forward thinking, and to think that we would only have such a small amount of women. I do know that it's typically a man's, you typically hire more males, but I don't think that we should build a building where the women's space is less than half of the men's locker room, and it is also less than the fitness center. So for me, that is not an acceptable thing. So I don't know where in the process we would correct this, do this.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but I cannot, in good conscience, vote for anything that has this much discrepancy. And that's kind of my opinion on the subject.
I think we're still at that phase where we can still touch the manual and look on that. I would probably still be concerned. The ratio that we've had of women in the DPS, police, and the fire is probably lower than the national standards. I guess we could, look at what the national standards are percentage-wise comparable to men versus women on that, and kind of get some kind of ratio on that and see where we're, kind of go from that point. But we can have Manuel look into that issue with us and go as we go forth on that. We're not at that lockdown, point at this point.
I understand. I've always worked in a male industry, and women tend to have been an afterthought. There was a time when I was working in a building where I had a toilet inside the broom closet next to the slop sink. So we're here. We're coming. There's more people coming. There's transgender people. There are all kinds of, to have such a it's less than half of the men's facilities, and less than, like I said, the fitness center. So I'd like to see that discrepancy reduced.
Yeah, you're not asking that it be equal, given the fact that we still don't have the population of staffing. But I understand what you're saying.
Well,
because
we're not building a building for today only. We're building a building that's going to last 30 years. So we have no clue what will happen in the next future. There's all kinds of technologies coming up where it makes some things easier to do. So that's my personal gripe. I believe that we have a commitment to do that and to be a little more forward thinking. So that's my comment.
So I don't know who said it, that we're not locked down onto this floor plan. If that's I hear Pam's concern there. Is that something that if they changed or took a look at, we would have we would see before we started doing architectural drawings? Like, what's the
Yeah,
what
yeah,
would be
for
the-
sure. Before they would start on the final construction drawings, we would have that floor plan finalized to a T. So there'd be no other, wouldn't cost us any more money for them to go back and look at it and revisit it and make any alterations at this point. So that's something that we can do very easily.
Okay. Can I say something on that, Pam? And I agree with you, Pam. I think that should be, because nobody knows what's come ahead of us yet. And you know what? They should be equal. 10 rooms for the men, 10 rooms for the lady.
I agree.
And I go along with that. Now, this is just a planning stage. We could work on it. I know Dave could work on that. Well, not a problem. And we could get this done and we could get this going because it's important. It's very important. And I agree with you.
Can I say one thing about that, Pam?
Sure.
The women's locker room is designed for up to 10 females. I asked Emmanuel that. That's what he told us. 10 females could be in there. I currently have one. I understand where you're coming from. I only have 24 employees, including my clerical, which have their own female bathrooms in that building. Therefore, what I'm getting to is if we even have 30 employees, chances of having more than 10 females in the labor workforce, not the clerical workforce, is slim to probably none even in 40 years from now. It's just my thought. It's bigger by taking a little bit out of the fitness room, as they're saying. There is room to make that just a little bigger, but I think to make it close to equal, we would really be fooling ourselves and putting a lot of money in empty space for even 40 years. That's just my opinion from working with other directors in other cities that have way more females than we do. Wayne County has a lot of females, but it's still 1 to 3 at the best. Just giving a point of view that there is up to 10 female lockers in that female locker room.
So what you're
But
saying
how many shower
is,
facilities?
Shower facilities, they should have 2 showers. Currently, in my current establishment, I have no showers for male or female.
Oh,
We've had emergency ones in.
I think it's a great idea to have showers. I mean, I
should.
personally would like to have seen them where it's easy to access off the garage area. You come in nasty, you shower, you leave clean, you know? And so from my experience and what I believe that we should have more of an equitable space. Now, you can disagree with me, and I
I'm not
appreciate your.
disagreeing. I'm telling you that we can make it a little bigger by making the fitness room just a hair bit smaller. But I think to make it equal would really be putting some empty space for many years to come. I'm talking for equal, not for larger.
Seems like a reasonable compromise.
Yeah, I think so too.
But that was an interesting point Pam brought up about the access off of the garage.
There's a reason we didn't do that. And the big reason is if you see where that water room it says is, that is stock that has to go into trucks right out of the right into the garage. So if we were to put lockers there, we would have to walk parts through the rest of the building to do so. That hallway is supposed to be I'm calling it a dirty hallway. That doesn't flow into the offices or anything. That hallway that comes out of the garage is for lockers and the fitness area and then the break room as you see it on the plans. That is isolated away from the office area, therefore not getting where anybody sees things. You know, the offices and the citizens see would not be.
There's only one door that goes into that hallway from the break room.
Right.
Well, can you do me a favor, Tom? Could you explain to me in each building area, like the fitness, the water department, could you tell me like a little bit of the functions that are going to go on in each one of those rooms?
Okay, well, we'll talk about the water room first since I mentioned that. That water room is where all the repair sleeves, the brass clamps, the firm coes, everything to do with water and sewer parts, I call it small parts, not pipes, goes in there. Currently, I made that room smaller than the current room we are using in our facility currently, because I know we don't need that large of a room compared to current. We know what the men's locker room's for. We know what the women's locker room's for. The fitness room really is just an empty space that if our people want to bring their own stuff, the city is not supplying a fitness room. We're just leaving an empty space for them to put some stuff in if they would like to have. They currently do have, hidden in the back of that water room, we currently have some of their own stuff. Then you have the break room, which is the lunchroom, basically.
With a full kitchen area?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's going to have a kitchen area. Then you move through the doors coming forward. I don't have the plans in front of me, so I'm just going to let you know what I think I remember. You move forward, there should be 2 offices there. One is supposed to be for, I guess, my office. The other is an empty office currently for future. Then you have an open floor plan where the water clerical billing clerk is, and the DPS clerk is going to be, with a reception area in front of that with a foyer. There's a, I'm trying to think, what is it called? It's called storage room. I don't remember the name.
Records.
That's where all our file cabinets, so they're not just sitting out in the middle of public to see. It's going to be all just put in there, kind of like City Hall is now, with the records. Then you move past, going down the hallway. I'm trying to remember. On the left is a little hallway that's called the map room. If you see it, the map room is where all our sewer and water maps. We need a table that you can lay them out. They're very large. That is also going to have a desk in there.
Tied in a flat file, or are they hung?
They're flat. They're hung, but we lay them down flat. It's almost like an architecture's drawers that we keep them in, where you can pull them out, pull them up. We also have a hanging system next to it. That's also big enough to put a desk in there because the water department needs a computer with a desk to access missed digs. So that is where we're going to put, that's why that room is the size you see. That is a multi-purpose room for the water staff to use for missed digs and mapping and things of that nature and records. Then the 2 little offices that are down that hallway right there is the water supervisor and the DPS supervisor. The 2 doorways are going to go to that little hallway. There's closets across from them. They're going to have a window in the area facing the garage so they can see into the garage. Okay. Then we're going to walk back out, go back by the map room. There's a little hallway. There should be 2 bathrooms there. One is for the clerical and office staff, so it's not, no offense, gets very dirty from the staff that's out there with blacktop on their feet, boots. That is not accessible to that personnel to get destroyed. The other bathroom there is for that big, is it called a crew room?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to remember the names. The crew room, it's a very large area, almost the size of the council chambers. It's where we're going to have safety meetings, large meetings. It could potentially be a precinct for voting at some time. We're going to bring GLWA in to have their meetings. I'm already, when this is built, going to reach out to instructors where the city will save money to have the instructors come to us to train our staff, and possibly other cities gives us about 50% off the cost to have our own facility instead of going to their facilities. That's what that is being designed and developed for, and maybe other uses also. I might have hit it all. I think that's just the office area, not the garages.
You're going to do an open grate mezzanine in the
There's going to be several mezzanines. One over the office. That is a very large mezzanine. Just not the whole office. It's the portion where you see it dotted line. That is for storage. We have Christmas lights for DDA. We store a lot of different functions that gets it out of the way. It's a one-time use stuff you use once in a while. Then you have the main garage with all the doors you see for obviously all the vehicles. They'll all fit in there with no problem. They already been space sized, everything where they go. Then you have the mechanics garage off the side there, I think in the front. That's going to be, I think, 4 bays going in there. And what you don't see is there's going to be a small mezzanine there between the offices and I think the compressor rooms in that area. That is going to store like large tires and stuff to get them out of the way. That's pretty much, you know how a mechanics garage is. It's pretty much a mechanics garage with some storage. And in the very back, you're going to see something where it says cold patch, or it says something a little square.
Yes.
That is something unique we found from a couple other Department of Public Service buildings we did. That is where it's going to have a big garage door on the outside, 3/4 wall door on the inside to keep it warm from the facility. but only the blacktop will come from the outside, stay to the outside. It will not get the garage dirty. Like right now, our functions, we have to clean the blacktop constantly out of the garage. And then there's a wash bay there, which is going to have pressure washers and an underbody spray system, possibly.
Okay.
Hopefully I answered most of that.
Yeah, no, thank you, Tom. It was very helpful.
I had a question for Bob real quick. Bob, so I know that we're doing this kind of like a pay as you go, correct? So we're doing the amount that we have set aside right now, along with the loan from Comerica, is going to pay for a certain portion of this. Is that correct?
Yeah, about 60 to 65% of this project is going to be paid for from the loan we got from Comerica. We also have, come July 1st, about 2 to 2.5 million set aside. I'd have to look at the exact numbers in reserve just for this project and capital projects. The third piece of this is the money from the sale of the 4 acres where the old mechanics garage is. Once that's sold, that money will also be able to be used on this project. So those are your 3 sources of funds for this project as we speak.
And I guess my we're most likely going to see some sort of economic hardship due to this situation. From where we're at right now, obviously I know you don't have a crystal ball in your office, but do you feel the city is still in a strong economic situation to move forward with this project?
Yeah, we've talked about this internally a lot. I mean, especially with what's going on. And as I said, 65% of this project is funded by a loan from Comerica, and another 20% of it's already set aside and earmarked for this. That money can't be used for anything else except for this construction project. I'm talking about the bond money. So if you decided at this point you didn't want to move forward or you didn't feel comfortable, it would be my advice to pay the money back to Comerica. It's not like we can bank it and use it for something else. The bond covenant that we signed when we took that loan says it has to be used for a construction project. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. So I guess that I know how much did you say we have set aside from our, like, so outside of the sale and of the property and the loan, what is actually coming from the city?
Well, we haven't sold the property yet. We have that 4.3 acres that we will market, or actually we've been marketing, but because the garage is there and our salt dome and the storage facility for all the abandoned cars and that, we really can't do a whole lot until we move off that property to sell it. We think that property is worth somewhere between, what, Dave? $600,000 to $800,000 that will go into the pot to help build this. I think the better question, and I think Councilman Lally touched on it, is how much money are we going to spend if we don't move forward? We've got a salt dome that's badly in need of a roof. We're losing salt because of the water penetrating it now. You got a garage facility that's inadequate. Our vehicles are taking a toll because they're not being able to be stored inside. I would liken our DPW facilities to the way old City Hall used to look. That's how far we are behind the times. Mm-hmm. This project's got to move forward, and even if you don't do it this year, you're going to have to do it soon. Right?
Still need plans for whatever.
Right.
And I think that this one might be for Dave, or it might even be for Sohail. We don't actually, to move forward with the salt dome, we don't need these drawings, correct? We'll be able to move forward with this prior to having these drawings complete.
That is correct. We can start on some of that infrastructure for the salt dome and the roads prior to these drawings being done from the work that Sohail's already done.
And I know that we're waiting for the DEQ on that. Is that the only thing that's holding up moving forward on the salt dome?
Yeah, the old DEQ, Eagle, but yeah, the one permit for the soil erosion. I know Sohail's been in constant contact with him. He mentioned that today, that he's going to reach back out to him again, but that is the only permit that we're waiting on.
So what's the problem from MDQ or Eagle?
Because we are actually working in the flood zone, There's some questions on the size of the retention basin needed for the project. They're so close to the creek in the flood zone there.
So we're in the actual floodway, correct?
Yes.
Partially.
Yes, partially.
Partially?
We are, ma'am, we are in the flood zone and we are working with them on the compensatory cut. They like that to be drained by gravity, which is kind of a challenge because we are separated from the creek by a private property. So we are trying to work with the owner of the private property to get that issue resolved so we can drain by gravity to the creek.
So if we don't get that easement, then we're kind of stuck, right?
Not really. We will get that easement.
Yeah. They've already agreed to the easement.
Have they? Okay, wonderful.
Yes, they've already agreed.
That's
Good
beautiful.
news.
How I know that we're on a time crunch for this. We need this by late July, correct? Like
August at the latest.
Yes, for the salt dome portion.
So how long is it going to take to complete once we have all the permits ready to go on it?
About a month.
Once we get the permits, the process of building that may take a couple months because again, the plan is to use concrete blocks for the walls, the salt dome, and the roof is going to be nothing but steel frame and canvas. So the construction of it is not that involved. It's a matter of just getting the permit in place so we can get earth moving going.
So
Thank you.
And we already have a complete contractor that's readily available to proceed with the project. We may not need to even bid that portion. We may, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, we may end up issuing that as a change order to another project. So we can, period.
That's correct. We already have, GV under contract with last year's pricing for 90% of the civil work that's needed there. And I apologize for how I thought you had left the meeting. I didn't mean to step on your toes.
No, it's okay. No problem.
So we're not going to have to open bid this?
Just civil.
The civil portion we're not going to, Pam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now.
The building and everything will be
Pam,
built.
do you foresee us starting and being able to complete the civil part of it within this summer coming up
Yes.
due to the constraints of not
What's the constraint?
the pandemic?
No, they're not under the
Pandemic does
executive
not
order.
stop essential contractual services, which this would be deemed that by state law.
Would it? Okay.
Yes, because we can currently, just so you know, start the millage roads if we wanted to, because just as well the state is doing work on roads. It's considered essential government work.
Okay.
Yeah, just any infrastructure project, Pam, is considered essential and can be undertaken at this point. Our only critical issue would be with Pat Durek approving the floodplain work. For some reason, he's holding this because of the problems with the Acres Creek all the way up to Dearborn Heights. So, and that's what is concerning him. And we're trying to get that relieved. And we're trying to prove to him that, this is a totally independent project of that, and we're taking care of the compensatory cut. It's not that major of an impact of floodplain itself. I mean, the issues are way upstream of us, not in this particular area.
Well, then we're going to retain the water. It's only going to be a help.
Actually, our retention pond is way bigger than we need to. He's not having issues with the retention basin. His issue is with the compensatory cut for the work in the flood.
And the pump. I was a little concerned about always having a pump. Nobody likes to have a pump.
Well, yeah.
And now we're not having one, so it's kind of.
No, we are having a pump for the retention basin, but he will not let us pump the compensatory cut. My goal was to drain the compensatory cut into the basin when the basin is empty from the rainwater with the pump and pump it out. And he's not liking that issue, which I don't understand why. It makes total logic sense that, we're not adding a pump station. It's the same pump station. And we can at least put a deeper compensatory cut instead of a wider and shallower one. And limit it to the corner that we're putting it in at. But he's not having it for some reason. So
Okay, can I say something?
Sure.
So what you telling me, the engineer, I forget his name, I'm sorry.
So
What you telling me is that, first of all, we have to do the pond, right? Before we do anything? Or can we do the pond while we do the road to the salt dome?
We work to deal with Wayne County permits with Hikmet that we can phase this project. And we need to drain the site anyway. So it behooves us to dig the pond, maybe not to the full size, but for the size that accommodates the salt dome first.
Okay.
We work with Wayne County on that one.
So in other words, we have to build a road to get to the salt dome. Is that true?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, fine. And then there's 2 houses there for sale. What's going on with that?
You can buy them.
Interfere with the road?
You in the market, Tony?
No.
No.
It's my understanding the gentleman that has the warehouse building there has made an offer on those properties. Last time I talked to him, he did. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And those homes are in Melvindale,
No.
is that correct?
That is correct. I have seen,
Melvindale.
they forwarded a site plan where they actually want to put an addition on their building. And there would probably be a parking lot where those 2 houses currently sit. So.
Very good. That answered my question about the salt dome and the pond. Are we gonna put some fish in there?
I'm talking about the
I'm
green.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
No.
Man.
We have a sprinkler fountain and some light.
No, we're gonna have an island.
Putting green.
No fish in there,
Island
man.
green.
We can, unfortunately, nobody's gonna see the fountain way back there.
I like the fountain.
We're gonna have our own version of Amen Corner.
Amen.
All right, that sounds good to me.
Can we move the big dog over there?
We will.
Is there any other, is there any other,
Charles.
I really did appreciate going through the plan and understanding what all those various rooms were for. I think that was very helpful, very helpful. Are there any other questions?
Charles.
I do. Charles. Okay, so my understanding, reading all this, this is the 297,000, and it says for entire project. That's including the building, also the roads, the salt.
No, that's just for architecture.
Architecture. Okay, just all right. Yeah, I think. All right, that's all I had. Thank you.
Charles brings up a good point. If that's just for the building, what's the the roads, the salt dome, the pond? What's that going to cost?
Total. Go ahead.
But we will have a better understanding of that probably within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
What has happened, SIDEC has forwarded the drawings and some other detailed drawings, a little bit more detailed, to a contractor that's trying to get us some more concrete cost for the building, along with the civil cost, because the contractor and GF Cement, who we have under contract, are sharing information at this point on their line item cost.
Because it says 297,000 for the entire project. It's just the building.
Yeah, it's the building project. It's not the infrastructure and the ponds and things of that nature.
So it's just like 70% of the entire project, correct?
I can answer Charles a little bit. So
Yes.
infrastructurally was done through Charles Rains, who we pay as our city engineer. We've
Good
been
name.
paying as we go. So this is only on the building because they're 2 separate things. Infrastructure, road, and salt dome is considered civil work, not a building of any sort. So you pay a separate entity to do that. Did that help?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's somewhat confusing, Charles. This is a little bit unique situation. One thing I did include in there, for City Hall, we paid 5.5% for architectural services overall. Their proposal is at 5.4%. So we're actually paying a little bit less in percentage for architectural services for the new facility versus the current city hall.
Okay.
But I too had, when I first read it, I had the same thought as far as when it said total cost, entire project, but we're just talking about the architectural portion, not the construction portion, not the infrastructure. So it's kind of three prongs.
Yeah, it's for the construction cost of the building is what their percentage is based off of.
Okay, thank you.
Just the building.
Are there any other questions? If not, can I have a motion to approve this resolution and move forward?
Motion, Matt Valerius.
Matt Valerius, thank you.
Thank Gary Schleck.
Gary
go ahead.
Schleck, second. Is that correct? Matt Valerius moved, seconded by Gary Schleck.
Correct.
Okay, Mike?
Mike Mizzy.
I apologize about my cats.
You guys are breaking up to me right now.
Roll
All
call.
I got was, all I received was motion by Valerius, who supported it.
Okay, supported by Gary Schleck.
Gary Schlack.
Correct.
All right, so I have a motion by Valerius, supported by Schlack, to approve the third resolution. We'll start with Councilman Blevins.
Yes.
Councilman Lally.
Yes.
Councilman Lloyd.
Yes.
Mayor McLeod.
Yes.
Councilman Schlatt.
Yes.
Councilwoman Syke.
No.
Okay, now again, I want to remind everybody here, this is just for the architectural services. So it's no on just the services.
I understood. My answer, my response is
All
no.
right, Councilman Valerius.
Yes.
The yeses have it. Motion adopted. And next item, please, Mayor.
Okay, next item is other business. We are asking for the first and second reading of a proposed ordinance number 01-2020, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 4, Employee Benefits, Division 2, Employees Retirement System, Subdivision 2, Board of Trustees, Section 2-232, established composition duties to modify the manner in which the retirement trustee is designated to the board. We have
we'd ask for a motion to
we
adopt
ask
that.
for a motion to authorize the first and second reading of the proposed ordinance.
I'll make the motion. Tony Lally.
Tony, thank you.
Support, Dan Lloyd.
Dan Lloyd supports. Okay. Is there any discussion, questions?
Bob?
Yes.
Yeah, Bob, you just, could you tell them why we are proposing this?
I would love to.
Thank you, Bob. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Joe. And I will continue here to tell you that this motion, I'll give you the short answer. In order to save the retirement system a lot of money, they have to give the majority vote on appointing the fourth member of the retirement board back to the city. So what this resolution does is the fourth member, which is appointed by the 3 city members and the 3 union members, would have to go back to council for approval. So in essence, the city council would get more power than they have now to approve that fourth vote for the retirement system.
That's right.
This is what we had discussed previously, right?
Yeah, we did this in
Right.
legal affairs.
There's a new GASB pronouncement, GASB 87, that basically says that if a city entity such as the retirement system, if the power of the votes do not lie with the city council, then that is considered a separate entity and has to have its own audit report. The retirement board, as frugal as it is, does not want to spend an extra, $13,000 to $20,000 a year on an audit report, which is already included in the city's audit. So they said, listen, if it means that to get that so we don't have to do that, we'll give the city the power to approve that fourth vote. And that gets around GASB 87. Did I explain it, or do you need a little bit more?
No, that was the same. So we
Same.
discussed this in legal
Beautiful,
affairs, and
beautiful.
this was a pretty cut and dry thing for us at legal affairs, because this is the retirement board asking us to have some authority over their board so that they're able to save money on their audit. So this is something that the retirement board has asked for, and I think it's pretty cut and dry.
Yes, by approving this, you'll have more power than you have now over the retirement board.
And to echo what Councilman Lloyd said and Katie said, that they asked for this. This is not something that we are trying to overreach our power. They understood and they agreed that this would save them money, and they're perfectly fine with it. So it's not an extension of trying to make power greater in City Hall. It's simply to save money, and they agreed upon it, and we wouldn't overstep their bounds without their approval. At least I wouldn't vote for someone that did that.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, then I believe, Joe, you will do the first and second
First,
reading?
we need to vote.
Oh,
We need a roll
okay.
call vote.
To approve the reading.
Correct.
Right, okay. Mike, can you do the roll call vote to approve the reading?
All right. I have a motion by Councilman Lally, supported by Councilman Lloyd. And for the first and second reading of proposed ordinance 01-2020, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 4, Employee Benefits, Division 2, Employees Retirement System. Don't bite me, I'm so sorry. Subdivision 2, Board of Trustees, Section 2-32, established composition duties, to modify the manner in which the retirement trustee is designated to the board. And we'll start with Councilman Lally.
Yes, after he bites you.
He did. Councilman Lloyd.
Yes.
Mayor McLeod.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Councilman Slack.
Yes.
Councilman Syke.
Yes.
Councilman Valerius.
Yes.
Councilman Blevins.
Yes.
And the yeses have it. The motion is adopted as it will be published in a manner prescribed by law. And
Mike.
next item, yeah.
Mike.
Joe has to read it.
Mike, I got to read it.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
That's okay.
He was
Proposed
distracted.
ordinance. It's all right, man. You're doing good with the baby there. Proposed ordinance 01-2020. An ordinance of City of Allen Park Code of Ordinances amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 4, Employee Benefits, Division 2, Employees Retirement System, Subdivision 2, Board of Trustees, Section 2-232, Established Composition, Duties to modify the manner in which the retirement trustee is designated to the board. And now I'll do the second reading. Proposed ordinance 01-2020, an ordinance of the City of Allen Park Code of Ordinances amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 4, Employee Benefits, Division 2, Employees Retirement System, Subdivision 2, Board of Trustees, Section 2-232, establish composition, duties to modify the manner in which the retirement trustee is designated to the board. Thank you.
Okay, and now I think we will move on to council comments. The way we will do that is this evening, we'll start with Mayor Pro Tem Lally and then move in order through the council. And the next time we do this, we'll start with the next person down. So Tony, go ahead.
Are you talking about me now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you. Well, it's so nice to be talking to all of you tonight with all that's been going on in the world. First and foremost, I want to thank God for keeping us well and allowing us to be here tonight. It was a great meeting tonight. It was a very, very fruitful meeting. There are so many other people I want to thank. To all the doctors, nurses, caregivers, medical staff, first responders, police, fire, city workers, truck drivers, teachers, and all who worked in grocery stores, restaurants, anyone else on the front line that put their own health on the line for all of us. I just don't want to, last but foremost, not least, please allow me to thank my own daughter, who's a nurse manager for a large health system in New York and working on the front lines of this war. I call this a war. This is worse than Vietnam. Thank you for all that you do for your patients and for always making sure that your mom and dad and your family in Michigan are okay. Bachi and Abrachi, kisses and hugs. God bless everyone. Be safe, stay well, follow the guidelines. We're all in this together, and we're gonna take care of business here. We're gonna come back. Don't forget, we'll be back. Thank you and good night.
Dan?
So I want to say I can't really express how grateful I am to all of our department heads for all the work that they have been doing to keep this city going, and that's obviously that starts with Chief LaFond. I'm incredibly grateful for your forethought. This is something that I remember when I first heard this, all of these things coming out. I remember thinking to myself, man, public officials really need to do something to get ahead of this. And I was like, oh man, that's me. I need to be doing something. And that's something that I keep reading in the news is personal protection equipment and how that's been shortage. And I am so appreciative of you and DC Can's forethought and getting ahead of that. And how that is something that has spilled over and is keeping the rest of our department and the rest of our city employees safe. So thank you so much. To Chief Wilkowitz, and Lieutenant Egan, I've gone out on periodic runs throughout the city of Allen Park, and I very much have felt the police force out there, and it has been an incredibly comforting thought. Every time that I've been on a run, I've seen at least one squad car going by, and so I very much am appreciative of those frontline workers, of those our police officers who are not just responding to emergencies, but also reassuring the public and instilling that public trust. And so I'm very grateful. But that also goes to Mr. Murray's department and to Mr. Hawkins' department, who are providing essential services to our citizens. And their employees are going out there every single day and are putting themselves at risk so that senior citizens can get groceries, and so that citizens can have a tree removed from their garage, or they don't have water. So this is, everybody is really doing an amazing job to come together and to handle this situation, and I'm very, very appreciative of that. This is I don't think that there's not going to be a normal anymore. But I think that one thing that is amazing about humanity as a race is our ability to get used to almost any situation. And so I very much commend everybody, to Mr. Kibbe and to Ms. Zettel for all the work that they've done, Mr. Katie, everybody. I don't want to leave anybody out, but thank you all for everything. I very much appreciate it, and it was very good to see everybody's faces tonight. Good night.
Pamela.
Yes, ma'am. All right. It's a little hard to follow everybody, but today when I was thinking about it, I kept a line from a Charles Dickens novel kept coming in my head. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. I feel that the best of it is that we're being able to connect with our families in ways that we've not had to by staying home and doing more with them. And of course, the worst of times is, as everyone knows, it's just a horrific thing that we have to go through. But like with all things, I always used to tell my construction crews, people that would be complaining about how long it's taking, I truly believe at some point it will end. This will end and we will go on. And of course, I want to thank all of our first responders, our doctors, our medical personnel. It's so much appreciated. I asked one of my friends how she's a nurse and how she feels. She says it feels like every day she's running into a fire. And so it's very difficult. I've had, we've all been touched by what's going on. And now, while I may not be a department head, or I've not been a city administrator, and I'm not a governor, and I'm not any of those things, but I certainly can empathize with all the difficulties and how, when, where, what are we going to do, how are we going to do. It's got to kind of feel like wrestling cats into a bag that is changing constantly. And I appreciate each and every one of you and all the hard work you're doing. In fact, to all our city workers, I so very much appreciate. We've always, in the not too long distant past, we've always been asked to do more with less, and now we're asking you to do even more. So I appreciate everything that you do. And then after that, I guess I would like to say that everybody keeps saying we're all in this together, and I can't. Sometimes I feel it's a little cliche, but we are in this together, and my heart just bleeds for those families that have lost a loved one. And my husband and I offer our deepest condolences. And to those that are fighting the illness, please don't give up. We, your neighbors in your city, want you back home as soon as possible. Stay safe, stay well, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Matthew.
Well, once again, different format for a meeting, but it still comes across as a lot of people gathering together who truly care about each other, as well as our roles and the citizens of Allen Park. It's so much during this time focuses on negatives. We are constantly bombarded with numbers, the amount of those infected, the number of people that are passing away, unfortunately. And it's really, really hard to try to find any positivity. But then you come into a forum like we have had here tonight, and you see from the people that are dedicating so much of their time and energy to doing good for the citizens of our city and good for each other. And, that's positive. And, to focus on something like that is what I think everyone needs to do to get through, troublesome times. I think about it. I live 3 blocks away from my dad at Maple Heights. You know, I went from going on walks and stopping by and seeing him every single day personally. I take my dog up to his room. He's been in lockdown now for over a month and a half. I can't see him. I walk the Thunderbolt Lanes parking lot and call him and see his hand waving from a 5th floor window. But that's a positive, though. I could still see him. He's still healthy, although confined. You know, but these are things that, you know, I look forward to the day that I could do those things again. You know, and I focus on that positive part of it. And at times, yeah, it's hard. You know, Dan and I, you know, we miss our jobs. We miss our kids. I miss being in the classroom every single day. There's no substitution. Online learning is great, but no substitute for being there. I mean, there's nothing in comparison to it. There's only so much you could do. You know, I'm a special education teacher. There's only so much I could do from my basement to an online forum. You know, I can't see in these kids' eyes and feel what they're feeling and know exactly what I need to do what I can to help them in the best way I can. But I'm doing what I can do. And that's really what everyone here is doing, you know. So, you know, I guess just to end, you know, it's been a long meeting, but think about how fruitful this meeting has been, and try to focus on the positives, how few and far between they may be. It's what's gonna get us through it. Whether it continues to go on longer, hopefully not, or whether it continues to go on for these next 2 weeks, whichever. I'm done focusing on negativity. I prefer to just focus on as much positivity as I can, because what else is there? Really, what else is there? So I want to thank everyone, all the department heads, everyone, all my fellow council members, everyone who's working the front lines. As Tony said, you know, we look at these jobs in a whole different light now. You know, you're a common grocery store worker, your food delivery person, your pizza delivery guy. You know, those jobs, you know, went from being such jobs that we look at in different eyes, and now, you know, talk about essential. It's crazy. But I just want to thank every single one of you. Everything that you're doing for everyone, for me, for my family, as a resident of Allen Park. I'm so appreciative, and I appreciate everyone taking the time to seriously express their thoughts, and continue doing the city business, because the city business has to continue doing it. So thank you so much. I appreciate everything. Have a good night.
Gary.
Well, as always in the situation, it's always tough to follow my fellow council folks that said it so great and eloquently, and I'm not going to even try to compare that. I want to also give thanks to all the department heads, the police department, the fire department, all the essential workers that are working to make sure that we get food out, or food in our, making sure everything is taken care of. And I just want to echo, please be patient. I live by a motto said once by President Kennedy: ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what your country can do. Butchering that, but ultimately, in a time like this, it's time to, and what you can do is stay safe, stay inside, follow the guidelines presented by the governor, follow the guidelines presented by your elected officials, and try to find as much positivity as you can. It's, we are in this together, and we can work together, but we have to do it by following those constructs. And my heart goes out to those that that have those family and relatives that have passed on from this, especially when I hear stories where their relatives have passed away and they're not able to do anything to see them, or that they're in nursing homes or hospitals and they pass away and they can't be in their time of need. So I echo that sympathy, and I really know that we will come out of this. We are strong as a people. We're strong that we can be there, but we have to do it together. I don't see us collapsing like a roll of dominoes. I see us standing strong and preventing that cat from knocking it over with his paw. I say that because of My cat seemingly wanted to be a council cat tonight, and I apologize for that. But I appreciate everything that everyone's done. To all the citizens, stay calm, stay relaxed. We will get over this. If it takes 2 more weeks, 2 more months, at the end of the day, this isn't the worst thing. If these precautions are put in place to protect us, so we come out stronger and don't have another round of this. I've done a lot of research during this and looked at the former pandemic in 1918. They had 3 waves. Not to scare anyone, but that's why this is taken so seriously. And it's important to listen and not just blow it off and think we're trying to kill the economy. No one in the elected office, no one truly wants to see anything like that happen. So be patient. And thank you very much for everything, and God bless.
Charles?
I just want to echo with everyone with the first responders. Thank you for all you guys do every day. I know at my job, I have to wear a mask like this. So whenever you go out, make sure you're washing your hands and protecting yourself always. I want to say good job to our 2 police officers for their dedication of 20 years. And to our 2 new employees, can't wait to meet everyone. I hope everyone stays healthy and safe. And then I hope we just keep on communicating, whether it's like this, email, but just keep everyone involved and voices be heard. And I want to say happy birthday to my mom. It's her birthday today. So, and then it's great to see more city council members with Matthew's dog, Gary's cat, and hearing all that. And but again, like I've always said since day one, we just gotta stay positive and move forward in a positive way, and we'll get through this. And didn't know if we were gonna. If Matthew or Tony, we're going to talk about the future for Memorial Day Parade, but I can't wait to see it at least for next year. And I just hope everyone has a good night and stay safe, stay positive. Thank you.
Maureen, are you still here?
Yes, I'm still here.
Would you like to make some comments?
Well, it sure was great seeing everybody. I'm glad that everybody here is healthy, and I too appreciate all the work that all of you do and all our departments do. And I guess all I can say is stay home, stay safe, and hope we get through this. Have a good night. Thank you again.
Mike? Is Mike still? Mike?
You hear?
He's bandaging his bite.
Nah, he's muted.
Muted.
There you go.
Okay, I'm here. Sorry about that.
That's
yeah,
all right.
And I gotta tell you, the reason she bit me and she was fussing is, and it's sad because it rolls into what Tony said about nurses. Actually, her patients are COVID patients. So it's like a half hour before she can even hug her mom when she walks in the door. So I felt horrible that I let her hear her. But anyways, God bless teachers. I mean, I've got 2 that I'm trying to homeschool with Google Classroom, and wow, just God bless teachers through this. And I just want to say Godspeed for a vaccine or a cure. Thank you all for being here. God bless you and good night.
Okay. Well, I had a whole bunch of stuff typed out, but always straight from script. I think one of the positive things from tonight, as I'm sitting here and watching, was the ability to look at each of you face to face when you were making your comments, because it was wonderful to be able to look you in the eye and not have to look left or right and see a part of your face. It was much more personal. I think from the comments you all made, and I'm hoping that our residents take the time to watch this, is to understand how many people are personally impacted. Now, I got to thinking about all the nurses I know. I have a cousin and her daughter is a nurse. And somebody I played softball is a nurse. I know, doctors and nurses and people who are in the front line. I think from tonight's meeting, our residents will know that we in this city are doing everything possible to adhere to the governor's orders and get through this. I cannot speak highly enough about all of our employees. I do not go into City Hall often, but when I do, I am so appreciative of the people that I do see there who are keeping things going, the processes that we've set up, the care that's being taken, the extra mile that so many of them are going. We've certainly been ahead of the curve. As I said, our fire department came out with a lengthy memo. This is what you should and shouldn't be doing, way before any instructions were coming to us. Our senior home, excuse me, our senior housing, our Paluch housing is in really good shape because the director shut that down early on. And I periodically check in and everything is going well there. We do need to keep positive, and while I was sitting listening to some of the discussion that was going on, the email came in today with Wayne County's report, and I am very happy to report that I opened it up. I had no phone calls today. There was only one new confirmed case, and we did not lose a resident today. So I'm very thrilled with that. The last thing I want to do is I want to thank a group of citizens who were instrumental in coordinating the visit by the Easter Bunny to just about every city block in Allen Park. So often we talk about, oh, we have a parade and it goes up Park and it only covers a certain section. Well, I was contacted about something that was being posted on Facebook, and there was a concern about a parade, and I did some checking, and there was some back and forth, but I have to tell you that the individuals who were responsible for this, they understood what my concerns were. They handled everything very well. They got the communication out as to what was going on. The organization of it was just incredible. Mapping out time periods. And so I just want to say thank you to some of these people. Sarah Traxtel for creating the event, mapping the locations, and spreading the word. James Shaffron, who loaned his Easter Bunny costume. Chris and Olivia Tuccini, who provided transportation. And I think as I observed some of the videos, some of the kibitzing, Mike Zohar, who was the Easter Bunny, and I'm not quite sure how he managed to stand up in the back of that pickup truck without falling over. And Laura Potts and Leah Holman, who took it upon themselves to keep everybody up to date as how they were progressing. I had some very nice Facebook messages from Chris and Mike after the fact, and they were sorry that they didn't get all of the city blocks, but it got dark. But they figured, I think they got 70% of it, which is pretty darn good when you have a city with 95 miles of road. And as I posted on Facebook, I happened to turn on to Harrison just after they did, and I followed the bunny for several blocks. And it was very gratifying to see The people who were out waving, many of them had no children, but they were out there, and they were waving and they were enjoying themselves, and it was just a perfect reflection of what this city and the people who live in this city are all about. And as we're going through this, even though we need to keep our physical distances, remember to wave at the neighbor. Remember to maybe think, if you haven't seen somebody in a few days, to make sure that they're all right. We do tend to take care of each other in this city, and I'm very glad that something very enjoyable happened this weekend. And with that, and again, I can't begin to express the appreciation I have for everybody who works for this city. Can I ask for a motion to adjourn?
Motion. Dan Lloyd.
Dan Lloyd.
Second.
Support. Tony Lally.
Yes.
All in favor? Do we need a roll call? I think we can probably just say aye.
No, roll call required.
Okay. That's a lot.
All right, I have a motion to adjourn by Councilman Lloyd, supported by Pro Tem Lally. Shall we adjourn at 8:33, probably 35 by the time I get done here? Councilman Lloyd.
Yes.
Mayor McLeod.
Yes.
Councilman Schlack.
Yes.
Councilwoman Syke.
Yes.
Councilman Valerius.
Yes.
Councilman Blevins.
Sure.
Thank you. And Pro Tem Lally.
Definitely, yes.
Thank you. All right, the yeses have it. We shall adjourn at
Good night,
8:33.
everybody.
Miss you guys.
Nice
Stay
to see
safe.
you guys.
Hey, we're going to
Good
see
to
you
be with
next
you.
Tuesday, budget meeting.
I can't wait.
Next Tuesday.
I can't wait.
Take
It's
care,
a
Mr.
reason-
Kibbe.
It's a reason to put pants on these days. I need those. Appreciate
Too
it,
much
guys.
detail,
Have
too
a good
much.
night.
Stay safe, stay healthy.
Good meeting.
Good night.
Very happy night.